The smell of Gran's lavender sachets still lingered in the air as I stood in her empty bedroom, running my fingers along the worn oak dresser where she'd kept her treasures. 3 days after her funeral, and it still didn't feel real that she was gone. My name is Quinn, and I was about to lose the only place that ever felt like a real home to me. Quinn, get down here! My brother Rory's voice boomed from downstairs, shattering my moment of peace. Patrick's waiting to read the will. I took one last look at the faded wallpaper, remembering all the nights I'd spent in this room as a teenager, escaping from my own chaotic household to find solace in Gran's wisdom and warmth. Taking a deep breath, I headed downstairs to face my family. The living room was packed with familiar faces. Mom sat rigidly on the floral sofa, while Uncle Tyson paced near the fireplace. My best friend Kira had squeezed herself into a corner, offering moral support. Rory dominated the center of the room, his expensive watch glinting as he gestured impatiently. Patrick, our family lawyer, cleared his throat. Shall we begin? About time, Rory muttered, dropping into Gran's favorite armchair. I winced at his disrespect. The last will and testament of Margaret Porter, Patrick began, adjusting his reading glasses. To my beloved grandchildren, Quinn and Rory Porter, I leave my house at 247 Maple Street, to be shared equally between them. What? Rory interrupted, leaning forward. That's it? Just the house? Mom shot him a warning look. Rory, please. Patrick continued reading, but I barely heard him. The house. Gran had left us her house. The Victorian beauty that had sheltered 4 generations of our family, with its creaky stairs and secret reading nooks, was now half mine. There must be more, Rory insisted when Patrick finished. What about her savings? The antiques? Those were liquidated for her medical care, Uncle Tyson explained quietly. The house is what's left. Rory's face reddened. This is bullshit. I have debts to pay. Language! Mom snapped, but Rory was already on his feet. Quinn? He turned to me, his charm switch flipping on like it always did when he wanted something. You don't even need a house. You've got that cute little apartment downtown. Why don't you let me buy you out? I met his gaze steadily. With what money, Rory? His smile faltered. I've got some investments coming through. Big ones. Just need to clear these temporary debts first. You mean gambling debts? The words slipped out before I could stop them. The room went silent. Kira shifted uncomfortably in her corner. That's none of your business, Rory growled, his charm evaporating. Look, just sign over your half. I'm the oldest, I should get the house. It's what Gran would have wanted. I almost laughed. Gran wanted us to share it, Rory. That's why she left it to both of us. Quinn, Mom interjected, her voice pleading. Your brother needs this. Can't you help him? Just this once? Just this once. The same words she'd used when Rory needed bail money, when he needed rent, when he needed to pay off his bookie. Always just this once and always at my expense. No, I said firmly, surprising even myself with how steady my voice was. I'm keeping my half. Rory's face darkened. You ungrateful little... That's enough. Uncle Tyson stepped between us. Margaret wanted you both to have the house. End of discussion. Fine, Rory spat, grabbing his jacket. But this isn't over, Quinn. You owe me. As he stormed out, slamming the front door hard enough to rattle the windows, I caught Patrick's eye. He gave me a subtle nod, confirming our earlier private conversation. What Rory didn't know was that I'd already set my plan in motion. I should go after him, Mom fretted, reaching for her purse. Let him cool off, Uncle Tyson advised, but she was already heading for the door. Kira moved to my side as the room cleared out. You okay? I nodded, watching through the window as Mom's car pulled away. I will be. He's going to keep pushing, she warned. I know. I touched the old wallpaper, feeling its familiar texture under my fingers. But he's not getting this house, not to gamble away like everything else. What I didn't tell her was that I'd already decided exactly what I was going to do with my inheritance. Rory wanted to play games? Fine. But this time, I was writing the rules. Patrick approached with some papers. Ready to proceed with what we discussed? I took one last look around the room where I'd spent countless hours with Gran, remembering her words. Sometimes love means standing your ground. Yes, I said firmly. I'm ready. You're selling your half? Kira nearly choked on her coffee. We were sitting in our favorite cafe, 2 days after the will reading. Quinn, that's brilliant and terrifying. Does anyone else know? I stirred my latte, watching the foam swirl. Just Patrick. He's handling everything quietly. Your mom's going to flip when she finds out. Mom's been flipping over Rory's messes for 30 years. She'll survive one of mine. My phone buzzed, another text from Rory. I ignored it, just like the previous 12. Speaking of your darling brother, Kira leaned forward. He came by the bank yesterday. I sat up straighter. Kira worked as a loan officer at First National. Let me guess, trying to get a loan? Tried to use his half of the house as collateral. Had to tell him we couldn't process it without both owners' signatures. She grinned. He wasn't happy. I bet. My phone buzzed again. He's getting desperate. Quinn? Kira's voice turned serious. Are you sure about this? Once you sell... The cafe door chimed, and I froze as Uncle Tyson walked in. He spotted us immediately. Ladies, he said, approaching our table. Mind if I join you? I gestured to the empty chair, trying to keep my expression neutral. Uncle Tyson had always been the family mediator, the voice of reason. But whose side would he take? He settled into the chair, declining Kira's offer to grab him a coffee. Your mother called me this morning. She's worried about you. I'm fine, I said automatically. Rory says you won't return his calls. Because I know what he wants. Uncle Tyson sighed, running a hand through his graying hair. Quinn, that house? It meant everything to your grandmother. I know that. Then why? He stopped as my phone buzzed again. Aren't you going to answer that? I showed him the screen. 14 missed calls, 23 texts, all from Rory. He's not going to stop, I said quietly. You know that. Uncle Tyson was silent for a moment, then surprised me by asking, Do you remember when Rory crashed your car in high school? The one I saved up for 2 years to buy? Kind of hard to forget. Your grandmother was furious, he chuckled. Not about the car, about how everyone expected you to just forgive and forget. She said sometimes the kindest thing you can do for someone is let them face consequences. My throat tightened. She told me the same thing. Smart woman, your gran. He reached into his jacket and pulled out an envelope. Which is why I think you should have this. Inside was a business card for a real estate agent. Her name's Maya. She's discreet, professional, and she already has a potential buyer lined up. I stared at him. You know? Patrick might have mentioned something. He winked. I'm not here to stop you, Quinn. I'm here to help. Kira cleared her throat. I should get back to work. Call me later? She squeezed my shoulder as she left, leaving me alone with Uncle Tyson. The buyer, I said once she was gone. Are they legitimate? Very. They're offering above market value cash deal, but they want to move fast. My phone buzzed again. This time it was Patrick. Quinn, good news. The paperwork's ready. If you're sure about this... I looked at Uncle Tyson, who nodded encouragingly. I'm sure, I said. When can we meet? This afternoon? And Quinn? I've been doing some research on that other matter you mentioned. I felt a smile spread across my face. The car? Found exactly what you're looking for. 1967 Mustang Fastback, restored to pristine condition. It's perfect. Uncle Tyson raised an eyebrow. A Mustang? Rory's dream car, I explained. The one thing he's wanted since he was 16. Understanding dawned on his face. You're not just selling your half of the house. I'm buying his dream car with the proceeds. I felt a mix of guilt and satisfaction. He always said Gran should have left him her car instead of selling it for medical bills. Well, now he's getting an even better one. That's... Uncle Tyson shook his head, laughing. That's either the kindest act of revenge I've ever heard of, or the cruelest. Maybe both? I stood up, gathering my things. I need to meet Patrick. Thank you, Uncle Tyson, for understanding. He caught my arm gently. Just remember, once this is done, there's no going back. Are you ready for what comes next? I thought about Gran, about all the times I'd watched Rory take advantage of everyone's goodwill, about the house that should have been our shared legacy. Yes, I said firmly. I'm ready. My phone buzzed one final time as I left the cafe. A text from Rory. Last chance, sis. Don't make me do this the hard way. I smiled, thinking of the Mustang. Oh, brother, you have no idea what's coming. The Mustang gleamed under the dealership lights, its midnight blue paint job so perfect I could see my reflection. Patrick stood beside me, holding the paperwork. It's exactly like the model car he kept on his dresser, I said, running my hand along the hood. The one he wouldn't even let me touch. Quite a statement you're making, Patrick remarked, checking his watch. The transfer from the house sale cleared this morning. We can finalize this purchase now if you're ready. A memory flashed through my mind, Rory at 16, pointing at a similar car in a magazine. When I make it big, Quinn, that's what I'm getting, and I'm never letting you ride in it. Miss? The dealer approached with the keys. Would you like to take her for a test drive? I shook my head. No need. She's perfect. As Patrick handled the paperwork, my phone lit up with a call from Mom. I let it go to voicemail, like I had been all week. The last time we'd spoken, she'd tried to guilt me into giving Rory more time to sort things out. The house buyer was very pleased, Patrick mentioned as we walked to his office. Said they've never had a smoother transaction. Because Rory doesn't know about it yet. I signed where Patrick pointed, trying to ignore the knot in my stomach. The title transfer is complete? Yes. As of this morning, you officially own half a house and one very expensive car. He hesitated. Quinn, about the family gathering this weekend. I'll be there. I took the keys he offered, with a surprise for my dear brother. Back at my apartment, I found Kira waiting outside my door with takeout. Thought you might need dinner and moral support, she said, holding up the bags. How'd it go? I dangled the Mustang keys. Want to see something beautiful? We drove to the storage garage I'd rented, and Kira's jaw dropped when I pulled back the cover. Holy shit, she whispered. It's gorgeous, and Rory's gonna lose his mind. That's the plan. Remember when he sold your concert tickets to buy himself that leather jacket? Kira asked, circling the car. Or when he borrowed your college fund? Mom said he needed it more than me. I closed the garage door, the sound echoing. She always had an excuse for him. And now he gets exactly what he's always wanted. I locked up, my voice harder than intended, along with a lesson about consequences. My phone buzzed, a text from Uncle Tyson. Rory's here. He's been drinking. Says he's going to the house tomorrow to handle things. Be careful. Quinn? Kira touched my arm. Maybe we should tell someone. Get ahead of this. I showed her the text. No, let him go to the house. Let him find out what happens when you take people for granted. Later that night, I couldn't sleep. I found myself looking at old photos. Rory and me as kids, back when he was still my protector instead of my tormentor. There was one of us at Gran's house, building a fort in the living room. I was 6, he was 8, and he had his arm around me, both of us grinning. You used to be my hero, I whispered to his younger face. My phone lit up, Rory calling again. This time I answered. Finally! His words were slurred. Listen, sis, I'm sorry about before. I was harsh. Let's talk about this properly. Nothing to talk about, Rory. Come on, Quinn. We're family. Remember when we were kids? How I always looked out for you? I looked at the photo again. You stopped looking out for me a long time ago. That's not fair. I've been dealing with stuff. Like gambling debts? Or the money you stole from Gran's medical fund? Silence on his end. Yeah, I know about that, I continued. She told me before she died. Still wanted us to share the house, though. Thought it might help you grow up. Quinn, see you at the family gathering, brother. I have a surprise for you. I hung up, hands shaking. Another text came through, this time from Mom. Please call me. Your brother needs us. I typed back, No, Mom. What he needs is to face reality. Kira had fallen asleep on my couch. I covered her with a blanket, then went to my window. Somewhere across town, Rory was probably at a bar or placing another bet, convinced his little sister would bail him out like always. Not this time, I whispered to the night sky. This time you get exactly what you deserve. The Mustang keys sat on my counter, catching the moonlight. 2 more days until the family gathering. 2 days until everything changed. I touched the keys, feeling their weight. Sorry, Gran. Sometimes tough love has to be really tough. The morning of the family gathering, I found Mom waiting outside my apartment building. She looked exhausted, dark circles under her eyes. We need to talk, she said as I approached. Rory went to the house yesterday. I know. I unlocked the building door, letting her follow me inside. Did he tell you what he found? He's not answering his phone. She grabbed my arm as I reached for my apartment door. Quinn, what did you do? I pulled away, pushing into my apartment. What I had to do. The new owners called me, she said, following me in. Said Rory was screaming on their front lawn. The police were called. Not my problem. Not your... Mom's voice cracked. He's your brother. And I'm your daughter. I spun around. But that never seemed to matter when he was stealing my college fund or crashing my car or ruining every chance I had at building something for myself. The silence that followed was deafening. My phone buzzed. Kira, car's ready for tonight. You sure about this? The family dinner's in 3 hours, Mom said quietly. Everyone will be there. Please tell me you're not planning something that will make this worse. I looked at her tired face, remembering all the nights she'd spent bailing Rory out of trouble. You can't fix him by breaking me, Mom. The doorbell rang. Uncle Tyson, right on time. Ready to go set up? He asked, then noticed Mom. Aaliyah? Didn't expect to see you here. Did you know? Mom demanded. About what she did with the house? Uncle Tyson met her gaze steadily. Yes, and I helped her. How could you? Because someone needed to. He turned to me. Car's packed with the food. We should head over. Mom blocked the door. Quinn, whatever you're planning for tonight. Move, Mom. My voice was firm. I'm not asking. She stepped aside, tears in her eyes. He's not perfect, but he loves you. Love shouldn't hurt this much. The drive to Uncle Tyson's house was quiet. He'd offered to host the family dinner, knowing the old house was no longer an option. As we unloaded the food, my phone exploded with texts from Rory. You think you're clever? You have no idea what you've done. I'm going to make you regret this. He's been at the casino all day, Uncle Tyson mentioned, reading over my shoulder, trying to win enough to buy the house back. He'll lose whatever he has left. Probably. He paused. The Mustang's around the corner? I nodded. Kira's bringing it later. The doorbell rang, early guests arriving. Within an hour, the house filled with family members, all buzzing with gossip about Rory's scene at the old house. I stayed in the kitchen, avoiding questions, until Kira texted, In position. He just pulled up. I walked into the dining room just as Rory burst through the front door. You sold it? He shouted, face red. You actually sold our grandmother's house? Conversation stopped. All eyes turned to us. You were going to gamble away your half anyway, I said calmly. I just beat you to it. It wasn't yours to sell. It was exactly mine to sell. My half, my choice. He advanced toward me, but Uncle Tyson stepped between us. Rory, calm down. Calm down? She betrayed our family. Like you betrayed Gran's trust? I shot back. When you stole from her medical fund? Gasps around the room. Mom covered her mouth. That's different, Rory sputtered. I was going to pay it back. With what? The money you keep borrowing from everyone? The loans you never repay? I pulled out the Mustang keys. Or maybe with the money you just lost at the casino. He froze, eyes locked on the keys. What is that? Your dream car, the one you always wanted. I dangled them. Bought it with my half of the house money. It's parked outside. The room went completely silent. You're lying, he whispered. Midnight blue 1967 Mustang Fastback, fully restored. I tossed him the keys. It's yours. He caught them reflexively, confusion replacing anger. I don't understand. You wanted something from Gran's inheritance? Well, there it is. The car you always dreamed of. I stepped closer. But remember this. I bought it with the money from selling my half of our family home. Every time you look at it, every time you drive it, remember what your greed cost us. Quinn! Mom pleaded from across the room. No, Mom, let him have his prize. I turned back to Rory. Hope it was worth it, brother. The keys trembled in his hand as the full weight of what had happened finally hit him. Outside, the Mustang gleamed under the streetlights, beautiful and damning, a monument to everything he'd lost in his pursuit of what he thought he wanted. Rory stumbled out to the driveway, the entire family following like a procession. The Mustang sat there under the streetlight, impossibly perfect, impossibly cruel. "This is a joke," he said, his voice hollow. "You're trying to teach me some kind of lesson." "No joke." I stood beside him. "The title's in the glove compartment. It's all yours." He opened the driver's door with shaking hands, sank into the leather seat. The interior still had that new car smell, mixed with the leather conditioning Uncle Tyson had recommended. "You could have kept the money," he said quietly. "Could have used it for yourself." "I did use it for myself." I leaned against the doorframe. "I used it to finally stop being your safety net." Mom pushed through the crowd. "Enough, Quinn. You've made your point." "Have I?" I turned to face the gathered family. Because for years, everyone watched him take and take and take. Everyone made excuses. Everyone expected me to just keep giving. "That's not fair," Mom protested. "Really?" I pulled out my phone, opened my banking app. "Should we talk about my college fund? The one you let him borrow because his gambling debts were an emergency?" Aunt Sarah gasped. Several cousins shifted uncomfortably. "Or how about Gran's medical fund?" I continued. "The money that could have given her better care in her final months?" "Stop," Rory whispered from the car. "No, I don't think I will stop. Because you never stopped, did you? Not when I begged you to leave my savings alone. Not when Gran was crying about her missing money. Not even when—" "I said stop!" Rory exploded out of the car, keys flying from his hand. They clattered on the driveway between us. Uncle Tyson moved forward, but I held up my hand. "No, let him speak." "You think you're so perfect?" Rory's voice cracked. "You think this makes you better than me?" "No, it makes me done with you. The house was my inheritance too, and now you have this instead." I picked up the keys, pressed them back into his hand. "A car you can't gamble away, can't sell easily, can't use to enable your addiction." "Quinn," Mom tried again. "Please." "The house is gone, Rory. I sold my half to a lovely family who'll make new memories there. Better memories." I stepped back. "But you got exactly what you always wanted. Isn't that what matters?" He looked down at the keys, then at the car. "I always thought, when I finally got this car, it would feel different. Things rarely feel the way we imagine when we get them through betrayal." Kira appeared at my side, car keys in hand. "Ready to go?" Rory's head snapped up. "You're leaving? The dinner's over, isn't it?" I looked around at our shell-shocked family. "I think we've all lost our appetites." "Quinn, wait." He grabbed my arm. "What am I supposed to do now?" I gently removed his hand. "Whatever you want, Rory. That's the point. Your choices are your own now, just like their consequences. But you're my sister." "Yes, and that's why I had to do this." I turned to Mom. "I love you, but I won't enable him anymore. Neither should you." Aunt Sarah stepped forward. "She's right, Aaliyah. We've all watched this go on too long." "The house," Mom's voice trembled. "All those memories are still ours," I finished. "But now Rory has something he can't destroy, something to remind him every single day what his choices cost him." The Mustang's chrome caught the streetlight, throwing reflections across our faces. Rory stared at it like he was seeing a ghost. "Come on," Kira tugged my arm. "Let's go." As we walked to her car, I heard the Mustang's engine roar to life. In the rearview mirror, I watched Rory pull away, the car moving like a dream through the night. "He's going to hate you for this," Kira said softly. "Maybe." I watched the taillights disappear. But sometimes love looks like letting someone hate you for doing the right thing. My phone buzzed. A text from Uncle Tyson. "You did good, kid. Gran would be proud." Another message popped up from Mom. "We need to talk. Tomorrow?" And finally, one from Patrick. Business loan application approved. Ready when you are. I smiled, thinking of the small bakery space I'd looked at last week. The one Gran always said would be perfect for my dreams. You okay? Kira asked as we drove away from the chaos. No, I admitted, but I will be. Behind us, the family dispersed, leaving Uncle Tyson's driveway empty except for the oil spot where the Mustang had been, a small stain marking the spot where everything changed. 3 days after the family dinner, I was painting the walls of my new bakery space when the Mustang's engine rumbled outside. I kept working, pretending not to hear the bell chime as Rory walked in. Nice place, he said, looking around at the half-finished renovations. So this is what you did with the rest of the money? Some of it. I set down my roller. The rest is in a business account you can't access. He winced. I deserve that. You deserve a lot of things, Rory. I turned to face him. Why are you here? Mom told me about your college fund. He ran his hand along the newly installed counter. I didn't know she took it from you. I thought... You thought what? That I just didn't want to go to college? I thought she had savings for it. He looked smaller somehow, despite his expensive clothes. I never asked where the money came from. Because you didn't want to know. The bell chimed again, Kira walking in with coffee and paint supplies. She froze when she saw Rory. I can come back, she started, but I shook my head. Stay. We're almost done here anyway. Quinn? Rory's voice cracked. I wrapped the Mustang around a tree last night. The paint roller clattered as Kira dropped it. I felt my stomach clench. Are you okay? The words came automatically, years of being the protective sister kicking in. Yeah, wasn't going fast enough to do real damage, to me anyway. He laughed bitterly. Car's in the shop. Repairs will cost more than I have. That sounds like a you problem. I know. That's why I'm here. He pulled out his phone, showed me the screen. I called a rehab center. They have an opening next week. I stared at him. What? The car thing, it wasn't an accident. Not really. He slumped against the counter. I was drunk, angry, wanted to destroy something beautiful, like I always do. Kira quietly moved to the back room, giving us privacy. But when I saw that car crumpled up, he continued, all I could think about was Gran's house, about how many things I've wrecked because I couldn't control myself. Rehab's not cheap, I said carefully. I'm selling the Mustang, once it's fixed. He met my eyes. It's worth enough to cover 3 months of inpatient treatment. You're actually serious about this? Mom won't help this time. Says she can't. Uncle Tyson too. He smiled sadly. You did that, didn't you? Got them to finally stop enabling me? I picked up my paint roller again, needed something to do with my hands. They made their own choices. Like you did, with the house. He watched me paint for a moment. The new owners, are they good people? A young family, 2 kids. I dipped the roller. They're keeping Gran's rose garden. She would have liked that. He pushed off from the counter. I should go. Just wanted you to know about rehab and to say I'm sorry for everything. Rory? I called as he reached the door. Why the Mustang? Why not just sell it right away? Because every time I looked at it, I saw what my addiction cost me. Cost us. He touched the door handle. You were right. It was a perfect revenge. After he left, Kira emerged from the back. You okay? He's tried rehab before, I said, painting with renewed vigor. Never stuck with it. This felt different, though. Maybe. I stepped back, examining the wall. But I can't fix him. I'm done trying. My phone buzzed, a text from Mom. Rory told me about rehab. Thank you. For what? I typed back. I didn't do anything. You did everything, she replied. You forced us all to stop pretending. I looked around my half-finished bakery, the dream I'd had since helping Gran bake cookies as a kid. The dream I could finally pursue because I'd stopped letting Rory's needs consume my life. The wall's uneven, Kira noted, pointing to a spot I'd missed. Like everything else in my life. I picked up the roller again. But I'm fixing it. one section at a time. The Mustang's engine roared to life outside. Through the window, I watched Rory pull away, the damaged fender catching sunlight like a scar. He might actually do it this time, Kira said softly. Maybe. I dipped the roller in paint. But that's his journey now, not mine. We worked in silence, covering the old walls with new paint, creating something fresh from something broken. Outside, life went on. Inside, I built my future, one brushstroke at a time. My phone buzzed again. Uncle Tyson, proud of you both. I smiled, reaching for more paint. Sometimes the hardest walls to repair are the ones between people. But at least now we were all finally doing the work. The grand opening of Sweet Legacy Bakery was set for Saturday morning, exactly 2 months after the Mustang incident. I was arranging pastries in the display case when Mom walked in, holding a familiar wooden box. Gran's recipe box, she said, placing it on the counter. Found it while cleaning out my attic. Thought you might want it here. I ran my fingers over the worn edges. I wondered where this went. Quinn. Mom fidgeted with her purse strap. Rory's completing his 2nd month of rehab. I know, Uncle Tyson told me. He's doing really well this time. The therapist says... The bell chimed as Kira burst in. Quinn, you need to see this. She thrust her phone at me. On the screen was a social media post from Rory, a photo of him in rehab, holding up a 60-day sobriety chip. The caption read, Sometimes your biggest wake-up call comes wrapped in midnight blue paint. Thanks, sis. He's been sharing his journey online, Mom said quietly, inspiring other people. I handed the phone back to Kira, focusing on arranging croissants. That's good for him. You haven't visited him once, Mom pressed. Because this isn't about me anymore. I straightened up. This is his journey. The bell chimed again, our first actual customer. Mom stepped aside as I handled the sale, watching me work in my element. Gran always said you had her baker's hands, she said after the customer left. I should have listened more. To both of you. Before I could respond, Uncle Tyson walked in with a large frame. Special delivery for the wall, he announced, turning it around. It was a photo of Gran's house, but not a sad one. The new family stood on the porch, the kids playing in the rose garden, everything bright and alive. The new owners sent it, he explained. Thought you might want to see how they're honoring the legacy. It's perfect. I pointed to the empty wall behind the register. Right there. As Uncle Tyson hung the photo, more people started arriving. Early customers drawn by our opening day specials. Soon the bakery was buzzing with life. Quinn? A familiar voice cut through the crowd. Patrick stood at the counter, holding a thick envelope. Final paperwork from the house sale. And he pulled out a letter. This came to my office for you. The envelope had Rory's rehab center's address as the return label. I tucked it under the counter for later. He's not the same person, Mom said, watching me. The Mustang thing, it broke something in him, but maybe it needed breaking. Mom, I have customers. Just read the letter, please. The morning rush kept me busy until noon. When things finally slowed, I retreated to my small office and opened Rory's letter. Dear Quinn, the Mustang sold yesterday. Ironic that my dream car ended up funding my recovery. But that's what you planned, isn't it? You knew I'd either destroy it or sell it. Either way, I'd have to face myself. They make us do inventory here, of our wrongs, our patterns, our debts. The list is long, too long. But I'm working through it. I don't expect forgiveness. I don't even expect you to read this. But I want you to know that losing the house, getting the car, it was the perfect storm I needed. You did what no one else could. You made me see myself. The new owners of the Mustang are a father and son. They're going to restore it together. Something beautiful will come from my wreckage. Kind of like what you did with the bakery. Love, Rory P.S. I finally understand what Gran meant about tough love. The bell chimed again. I wiped my eyes and went out front to find Kira placing a small wrapped package on the counter. Special delivery, she said with a smile. From your brother's rehab center. Inside was a framed photo of the Mustang, fully repaired, with its new owners. The father and son were beaming. The inscription read, Sometimes destruction leads to restoration. Put it next to the house photo. I told Uncle Tyson, who was still hanging decorations. Mom touched my arm. He's really trying, Quinn. I know. I straightened my apron. But right now, I need to focus on this. I gestured to my bakery, my dream, my fresh start. The afternoon sun streamed through the windows, illuminating both photos on the wall. Gran's house with its new family, and the restored Mustang with its new owners. Different kinds of legacy, different kinds of healing. Your first day's almost over, Kira noted. How does it feel? I looked around at my bakery, at my family, at everything that had changed. It feels like a beginning. The bell chimed again as new customers walked in, and I turned to greet them, ready to create something sweet from all that had been bitter. The autumn wind scattered leaves across the bakery's front step as I locked up for the evening. A familiar midnight blue car pulled into the parking lot, not the Mustang, but a modest sedan Rory had bought with his first legitimate paycheck. Need help cleaning up? He asked, getting out of the car. Already done. I jingled my keys. But you can walk with me to Gran's house. The new owners invited me for dinner. His steps faltered. They invited me too. I wasn't sure if I'd be okay with you being there. I started walking, letting him fall in step beside me. It's not my house anymore, remember? The neighborhood hadn't changed much. Same cracked sidewalks, same old maple trees dropping their leaves. But we were different people now, walking a familiar path with new perspectives. 6 months sober today, Rory said quietly. I know. Mom called. The new job's going well. Entry-level accounting. Nothing fancy, but honest, I finished. We rounded the corner, and there it was. Gran's house, except it wasn't Gran's anymore. The roses were pruned for winter, bikes scattered across the lawn, chalk drawings decorating the driveway. They've taken good care of it, Rory noted. Better than we would have. Sarah, the new owner, opened the door before we reached it. Quinn, Rory, come in, come in. The kids have been asking about you all day. Inside, the house smelled like pot roast. Not Gran's recipe, but somehow right for this new chapter. The walls were different colors now, the furniture arranged in new ways, but the bones of the house remained. Look what we found in the attic. Tommy, their 8-year-old, came running with a dusty box. Inside was an old model car kit, a midnight blue Mustang. Rory's hand shook slightly as he took it. I forgot about this. Gran bought it for my 10th birthday. Tommy loves building models, Sarah said. Would you maybe want to help him with it? I watched my brother's face soften. Yeah, I'd like that. During dinner, I noticed how naturally Rory interacted with the family. No forced charm, no hidden agenda. Just genuine conversation and gentle guidance as Tommy bombarded him with questions about model cars. My phone buzzed, a text from Kira. Loan payment cleared. You're officially debt-free. Good news? Rory asked, noticing my smile. The bakery's doing well. I passed him the rolls. Really well. After dinner, we helped clean up, then settled in the living room. The kids brought out board games, and soon the house was filled with the kind of laughter it deserved. We're thinking of hosting Thanksgiving, Sarah mentioned. Would your family like to join us? Rory and I exchanged glances. That's very kind, I started, but she cut me off. This house, it has good bones, good memories. We'd like to add to them, not replace them. Later, as we walked back to our cars, Rory stopped under a streetlight. I've been thinking about what you did, he said. With the house, the Mustang. It wasn't revenge at all, was it? What do you mean? You gave me exactly what I needed, not what I wanted. The car forced me to make a choice, destroy it or use it to save myself. A cat darted across the street, disappearing into the shadows. And the house? I asked. Went to people who'll love it right. He smiled slightly. Like your bakery, like my new life. Everything in its right place. Getting philosophical in your old age, brother? Getting honest. He pulled something from his pocket, a 6-month sobriety chip. I want you to have this. Rory, please. You helped me earn it, even if you didn't mean to. I took the chip, feeling its weight. I did mean to. I just couldn't do the work for you anymore. I know. He looked back at the house, now glowing warmly in the evening light. Think Gran would be proud of how it all turned out? She'd say we finally learned what she tried to teach us. I pocketed the chip. That love sometimes means letting go of what we think we want to find, what we actually need. The wind picked up, sending leaves dancing around us. In the distance, I could hear Tommy's laughter through an open window, the sound of new memories being made in old walls. "See you at Thanksgiving?" Rory asked. "Yeah," I smiled. "I'll bring dessert." We parted ways, driving off in opposite directions, but finally, for the first time in years, moving forward on parallel paths. The house stood behind us, a testament not to what we'd lost, but to what we'd found in losing it.